If you're looking for some awesome movies or TV shows featuring supernatural horror, you just click on the right video. Get ready to dive into these amazing ones that showcase unique connections. We're excited to share this ranking with you and would love to hear your favorites in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss out on discovering great movies and TV shows again. Number 1. The Conjuring. Director, James Wan. Taking its subject from a true story, The Conjuring deals with a frightening case encountered by the world-famous couple Ed and Lorraine Warren, who tried to investigate and shed light on supernatural events. When Ed and Lorraine Warren receive a phone call from the Perron family one day, they are unaware that they are embarking on the most frightening mission of their lives. The Perron family's secluded farmhouse is surrounded by a dark entity of unknown origin, and their lives have turned into a nightmare. The experienced Warren couple, who believe that they can solve this case, will realize too late what an evil entity they are facing. The leading roles of the film are Vera Farmiga, whom we know from the Orphanage movie, and Patrick Wilson, one of the stars of Prometheus. Number 2. The Witch. Director, Robert Eggers. New England in the 17th century, the married couple William, Ralph Ineson, and Catherine, Kate Dickey, lead a deeply religious, Christian life with their 5 children on the edge of an inaccessible forest that is supposedly haunted by a witch. Strange events soon begin to happen here. As the animals go crazy, the harvest fails, and then one of the children disappears under the eyes of his sister Thomasin, Anya Taylor-Joy, while another appears to be possessed. The parents can't make sense of what happened and don't know how to deal with the accusations of the twins Jonas, Lucas Dawson, and Mercy, Ellie Granger, who accused Thomasin of witchcraft. Is there a curse on the family, or is there another dark force wreaking havoc out in the forest? Number 3. Get Out. Director, Jordan Peele. Chris, Daniel Kaluuya, is a young and successful African-American photographer who, for 5 months, has been dating Rose, Allison Williams, a white girl. Although he is not entirely convinced, Chris ends up giving in to Rose's invitation to meet her family. The couple will take a weekend getaway and travel to the house of his parents, Dean, Bradley Whitford, and Missy, Catherine Keener, who are completely unaware that the boy is black. At first, everything is friendly and politically correct, but it won't take long for Chris to discover secrets and lies, especially in relation to the 2 mysterious African-American employees who live in the mansion. As the weekend progresses, a series of disturbing discoveries will lead him to discover a reality he would never have imagined. Number 4. Hereditary. Director, Ari Aster. Despite some tragedies in the past, the Graham family, consisting of mother Annie, Toni Collette, her husband Steve, Gabriel Byrne, and their 2 children Peter, Alex Wolff, and Charlie, Millie Shapiro, lead a relatively tranquil life remote house on the edge of the forest. Annie is a gallery owner and builds elaborate miniature models for an exhibition at home. Peter deals with the usual teenage problems, and Charlie is a slightly strange outsider. But when Annie's mother Ellen, the undisputed head of the family, dies, the Grahams are suddenly confronted with a series of mysterious and eerie events. Little by little, they uncover a horrific family secret and have to come to terms with the fate their ancestors left them. Number 5. Malignant. Director, James Wan. Tells the story of a young woman who discovers that the visions she sees are connected to real murders. Madison, a traumatized girl, is adopted by a loving foster family. When she becomes an adult woman, her tragic past catches up with her and her life turns into a nightmare. Madison, who begins to have shocking visions of murder, tries to understand the reason for the nightmare she is experiencing. After a while, the young woman discovers that these nightmares she sees while awake are connected to real murders. Nothing in his life will ever be the same again. Number 6. Talk to Me. Director, Danny Filippo. A mysterious embalmed hand turns the life of an entire Australian town upside down. Because with the help of the hand you can put others into a trance and even summon the dead from the afterlife. In any case, this story keeps doing the rounds. Mia, Sophie Wilde, and Jade, Alexandra Jensen, want to get to the bottom of the matter themselves when cell phone videos of schoolmates who appear to be possessed are circulated at their school. So they quickly join a seance. When Mia's deceased mother suddenly seeks contact with the world of the living through her embalmed hand, Mia realizes that this is no longer a game. Suddenly she has to choose between the world of the living and the world of the dead, and it's not clear who is on which side and who she can really trust when making this decision. Number 7. Smile. Director, Parker Finn. The film follows a psychiatrist named Dr. Rose Cotter, Bacon, who is having quite possibly the worst week of her life, which begins just after a troubling encounter with one of her patients, Stassi, who is on the verge of mental breakdown due to disturbing hallucinations. During the session, the patient suddenly starts smiling and slits her own throat with a glass shard. Rose is understandably disturbed by this course of events, and even though every person she knows console her, stating there's nothing she could do to prevent that suicide, it causes Rose's childhood psychological issues to come back to her. She begins having nightmarish visions of people around her smiling madly and proclaiming she is going to die. She keeps reimagining the patient's final words and realizes that the same thing the latter had to deal with is after her too. Number 8. Evil Dead Rise. Director, Lee Cronin. Beth, Lily Sullivan, travels to Los Angeles to visit her older sister Ellie, Alyssa Sutherland. When she arrives there, she happily meets Ellie's 3 children. However, the completely neglected apartment, as well as a strange book that was hidden in the walls of the building, cause her great concern. What she doesn't know at the time, it's the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, or in other words the Book of the Dead, which conjures up evil and unleashes demons on the residents. From now on, Beth and Ellie are confronted with their worst nightmares, which manifest themselves as so-called deadites. But that's not all. When the point comes where both sisters fall apart, Beth has to overcome all her boundaries in order to protect herself and the children. The beings who delight in the souls of living creatures demand everything from women. Number 9. The Pope's Exorcist. Director, Julius Avery. The Italian priest Gabriele Amorth became exorcist for the Diocese of Rome in 1986, so he was something like the Pope's personal exorcist. During his time in this role, he wrote numerous books and newspaper articles to bring the topic of exorcism back to public attention. With success. During his time, the number of Catholic exorcists in Italy alone was increased to around 300. Loosely based on the notes of Father Gabriele, Russell Crowe now plays the priest who, when exorcising demons on behalf of the Pope, Franco Nero, refers more than 98% of the cases directly to medical or psychiatric care instead of actually carrying out an exorcism. But in the remaining 2%, Amorth encounters what he calls pure evil. A new case brings the priest to the bedside of a boy, Peter de Souza Fayhunny, who is apparently possessed by an entity that explicitly desires the chief exorcist. Number 10. The First Omen. Director, Arkasha Stevenson. Margaret, a young woman from a U.S. orphanage, accompanies Cardinal Lawrence to Rome in 1971 to take her vows as a nun. Her journey takes her into a world of upheaval, marked by student protests and social changes. But before Margaret devotes herself entirely to monastic life, she lets her fun-loving fellow candidate Luz seduce her into an unforgettable evening that confronts her with new perspectives. In her job at a Catholic children's home, Margaret becomes aware of a disturbed girl who is apparently being mistreated by the other nuns. At the same time, she meets an excommunicated priest who draws her attention to disturbing goings-on behind the monastery walls. Initially skeptical, Margaret begins to do her own research. She discovers evidence of sinister occurrences related to mysterious devil marks and children born on the 6th day of the 6th month.